Okay, the welcome series flow is arguably one of the most important automations that you have in your arsenal when it comes to email marketing. What you are looking at right now is a Miro board that highlights how I like to build the welcome series, or at least start for a lot of my clients. Now, you actually have access to this board in the description of this video. I've given you a link. Go ahead and click that and you can walk through this board with me live on the call. It's like we're in the room together, and now I feel slightly uncomfortable, but let's walk through it. Now, we're actually gonna start this flow over here at the sign up form stage. Before I do that, I'm gonna quickly run you through what each icon means. So on the left-hand side, we kind of have your outlines, right? So we have the trigger. This represents trigger, email, conditional split, and update profile property. These are the metrics, and you can build this whole structure into Klaviyo. The sign up form is typically where people are going to start interacting with your welcome series. This is how they're going to get there, unless they sign up in the footer, or you do it via a giveaway, or they subscribe via checkout. But I actually recommend you do not put people through the welcome series if they subscribe at checkout, and I'll tell you why shortly. But straight off the bat, the sign up forms. You want to have a mobile and a desktop only version of sign up forms. That way you can split test things and see how people interact with those forms differently based on the device that they see the form on. You'll notice that the results are very, very different, because for example, a mobile form, one design might perform better, and then on desktop, another design might perform better. And if you don't separate the devices like that, you're never going to be able to fully optimize the A/B test. There's actually a bunch of other things that go into optimizing things like this, in terms of, for example, keeping the audience and the data consistent when you're running these tests, but that's for another story. Straight off the bat, we ask for the first name and the email address. This is important because obviously we need their email address for them to subscribe to our email marketing, but I've also found leveraging the first name, I know it sounds so obvious, but sometimes people don't do it, leveraging their first name in the subject line improves opens and click rates. Also, really important that we have a disclaimer below the call to action. This is legally required. We need to have a disclaimer below the call to action to let people know what the terms and conditions of the incentive actually are. So that's step one. Step two in the sign up form, this is where we're going to collect what we call zero-party data, what people tell us they are interested in relation to our business. Now, we can ask them what categories they're interested in, what products they're interested in, or what pain points they're trying to solve. And we can then take this information, what they tell us, and then split people up in our automations based on that zero-party data and speak to those individual problems or categories in specific emails. That way we are speaking to people differently based off of what they've told us in the automation. This is super, super important. This is what's going to separate your email marketing strategy from everybody else's out there. Zero-party data capture. We're going to capture this information. When they click this button, it's going to update their profile property. So make sure you set that up properly in Klaviyo, that it updates their profile property with the interest or whatever bit of zero-party data you're trying to capture with a custom profile property. And this is important because we're going to lead into that in this sequence here. Lastly, the discount. A lot of people make the argument that, and I used to think this way, that the discount code should never be given on the pop-up and should be given in the first email in the welcome series, because it improves the deliverability of the first email, because it gets better engagement from the medium of email marketing. But in my mind, if we're optimizing for the customer journey, right, not the business journey, but making it as easy as possible for a customer to place an order with us, we should have the discount code displayed on the sign-up form. Notice how the discount code is generic as well, because we want them to be able to click this button and auto-apply the discount code at checkout. You are correct. If we give the discount code here in this final stage of the sign-up form, they might not, or there will not be as much interaction with the first email in the welcome series because they have it here. But I think the increase in conversions you will get from displaying it here on this form will outweigh the decrease in conversions you'll see by making somebody interact with your email marketing and the uplift in deliverability you might see. And to be honest, the deliverability, it's only a small portion of it. This first email, you're going to make up for it in other ways with my other automations that I'll go into in separate videos. So that's how I recommend you structure the sign-up form. Once again, go into this form. You can see every single explanation here. Welcome series, okay? The trigger is somebody joining your newsletter. The filters is somebody subscribing to email marketing, so they have to have subscribed to email marketing at least once, and they've placed an order 0 times over all time. I add that placed order 0 times over all time filter in there because sometimes somebody can place an order at checkout, right? Subscribe to email marketing, join the newsletter, and then they get a 10% off discount code for their first email after having placed an order. That's just going to piss them off, right? So if you do amalgamate people in terms of the sources of where they subscribe, for example, you have people subscribing to the newsletter via the sign-up form and the checkout process, make sure you split people off based on their order history. Personally, I just like kicking people out of the flow if they place an order, and then we can talk to people who place an order in a post-purchase thank you sequence. And I have another video about that as well. So, first action is we update their profile property with in welcome series equals yes, okay? So we've now updated their profile with the custom property in welcome series equals yes. And then we're going to create a segment of subscribers who have this tag on their profile. And we're going to exclude that segment of people from your campaigns to ensure that those who are receiving campaigns are not also in the welcome series. This is just a personal choice to prevent people from getting inundated with information and ensuring that the welcome series is left alone to do its job in terms of converting people without any other conflicting information coming through. Now, once they place an order, it'll kick them out of this welcome series, and we have this profile property update flow here, which is somebody gets updated with the profile property in welcome series equals no, meaning they are no longer in this segment and they are no longer going to be getting campaigns, right? We have this separate one here because if somebody places an order, they leave the welcome series and they don't have the opportunity to go to the bottom of the welcome series and have their profile property updated as it normally would. And this just catches people and ensures that anybody who does leave the welcome series has that profile property updated regardless. Once again, I go into a bit more depth in the actual explanation, so go ahead and click that. The first email, you want to immediately give the reader what they subscribed for. In this case, it's probably just going to be a discount code. Personally, I like to include static discount codes. Now that does open you up to the risk of people sharing discount codes on discount code boards, but it also allows me to include a discount code in the header image. I can make it static and I can make the header image stay the same because I have the coupon code that doesn't change for every single person. And it allows me to give links that auto apply the discount at checkout, right? I'm minimizing friction. I want to minimize as much friction as possible. And by having the link auto apply the discount at checkout, that makes it less hard for the individual to place an order. You're basically just trying to make it as easy as possible for someone to place an order with your business. Email 2, after a 12-hour delay. Kind of a weird delay, right? It's not a day, it's 12 hours. When it comes to the welcome series, after somebody subscribes, you typically have a 12 to 16 hour window to convert the reader. After that, it gradually becomes more and more difficult to do so. In my opinion, getting product into people's hands is priority number 1, and giving discounts shouldn't be looked at as a negative thing to get that first purchase. So, in email 1B, I like to increase the discount that we gave because this is only going to go to people who haven't placed an order since receiving that first email, right? Increase it, increase the incentive, increase what you're giving somebody just so you can get that first order in, right? Because if your product's good, you're going to make your profit on the back end anyway. You're going to be selling more of your product. You're going to be having a repeat purchaser. It's going to be easier to make that sale. Just get that first purchase and do whatever you can, margins considered, lifetime value considered, repeat order rate considered, to get that first sale. So email 1B bumps up the discount that you're giving somebody. 2-day delay, split. Category of interest is set, or interest category is set. This is going to split people to the left, the no path, if they have not told us what they are interested in at the sign up form stage, right? This is going to split people off if we do not have their interest category set from this form, okay? Because you're going to have some drop off. You're going to have some drop off between step 1, step 2, and step 3. There's going to be drop off. And so this email is going to go to people who have not told us what they're interested in after a 2-day delay, and we're going to use this email to capture the exact same questions and data that we were asking at sign up. Just a secondary step, right? Once they click a button in this email, ensure that the button, so the button being what are you interested in, X, Y, Z, make sure that when they click that button, it updates their profile property with, for example, interest category equals X or Y or Z. We want to use this data for future campaign segmentation. This is why it's so important to capture this data, because we're going to use it for future campaign segmentation. Even if your list is tiny, it's important to be capturing this stuff now, just like it's important to be capturing email consents as early as possible in your business journey. You want to be capturing this data because you're going to send specific campaigns to specific groups of people based off of their interest, and you're also going to feed this information back into your advertising strategy, okay? And this is where things get complex, and to be honest, if you want to figure that out, we probably should hop on a call. Here is the dynamic piece of code you want to use if it's for Klaviyo, and make sure it's updating according to your store, right? But this is the code. Update property link, profile property, so interest category, with the value of the interest that they set. So for example, interest, this would be replaced with interest category, and the value, if they told you, hey, we're interested in socks or shirts, you would change this to socks or shirts based on the button they click. And then the redirect link is where you take people after they click that button. So if they tell you they're interested in socks, they're going to have their profile property updated with the interest category equaling socks, and redirecting them, hopefully, to a landing page for socks, or at least a collections page that highlights socks. So after that, we have a 3-day delay. So now there's a 5-day delay between this, but only a 3-day delay on this side. We're going to start splitting people off based off of what they've told us that they want to hear from our business. And this is where email personalization is actually good. Like, obviously using the first name tag is good, but this is where actual email personalization gets really good, is when we start talking to people specifically based off of what they've told us they are interested in. Don't guess, just let them tell you what they're interested in. Conditional split, interest category contains weapons. Okay, so these splits are going to split people off based off of the interest category, what they've told us, right? Note, these splits are set to be contains. Sometimes people can select multiple interest categories, and that might not be a bad thing. You might actually want to do that. But these splits operate as a process of elimination. So whatever split the person matches with first is where they're going to go down. In this example, we split people off by weapons, taekwondo, MMA, all that good stuff, right? But what happens if somebody told us they were interested in weapons and taekwondo? In this case, it would be if it contains weapons, they're going to go down this side. And even though they've told us that they're interested in taekwondo, it's not going to reach that because it reached this one first. To fix that, you have to create a shit load of splits, which is why I think it's better to highlight categories based on what is most likely going to get you a sale. So for example, if somebody tells you that they're interested in weapons and taekwondo, but you know on average people convert more when they tell you they are interested in weapons, have weapons be the first split. So they go down these emails, right? And if they hit the yes path, this is where we start giving them emails based off of what they've told us they're interested in, right? This is where email marketing gets good. They've told you they're interested in weapons, so send them an email that talks about weapons. They've told you they're interested in MMA, so send them an email that talks about MMA. Don't be generic. Split people off based on their collections if you have a lot of products, or if you only have like 4 SKUs, do products. Be specific to who you're talking to, right? This is what you do that's going to convert things. 4-day delay, right? Now, obviously, if they don't hit any of these, it means they haven't told us what they're interested in, right? If they don't hit weapons, don't hit MMA, don't hit Taekwondo, don't hit Muay Thai, right? Process of elimination here, right? If they don't hit those categories, they're going to go down the final node path, which to us is saying that it's anybody who hasn't responded with an interest category. And so this email just really needs to be a bit more generic and be a bit more just talking about your best sellers, perhaps your USPs, and then also reminding the reader of the discount that they've got in 1B. Not 1A. You upgraded their discount, remember? 1B. So that's what you do here. And then email 1E is just a reminder regarding the reader's discount. Now you can build this flow out even more. You can have additional sequences talking more about the benefits of each of these categories and collections. It just means more work. But if you're up for it, get stuck in, right? Reminder regarding the reader's discount, email 1E. It's just going to highlight the discount that you gave them in 1B. I like to add timers in here, and it creates a sense of urgency. This is a link to a timer platform. It's not an affiliate link, so just go ahead and click it. It'll take you to a platform that allows you to add dynamic timers. So saying something like, hey, you have 24 hours before your coupon expires. Listen, if you're using static coupons, I recommend not saying this because that's technically fraud, and you can't say a coupon's going to expire when it doesn't. But if it's a dynamic coupon and it actually does expire, have that in this email. Finally, after 1 day, they still haven't placed an order. They're going to reach this update profile property, and this action will update the reader's profile properly relating to them being in the welcome series. And it's going to remove them from that exclusion segment that we built up here. Remember? Update profile property in welcome series. It's now going to say no, which means we can now start sending them campaigns, right? Now here's a little thing that I like to do. Conditional split, opened email 0 times since starting this flow. In my mind, if someone has gone through the welcome series and hasn't placed an order, or rather, hasn't opened an email throughout this whole welcome series journey, there's an argument that they're probably not going to open an email anyway, and that they're probably not worth keeping in your list, which means we send them down this side, the yes side, and we update profile property with suppress equals true, and then we go ahead and suppress them. In my thinking, if they have not engaged with any of these emails in the welcome series, they're probably not going to engage with any going forward, and it's worth suppressing them. That's just my take. Some people might have a different take, but with Klaviyo's new fee changes as of 2024, it's really important to keep your list as clean and as small as possible. So I hope that makes sense. I went into a lot of depth here. You have this flow, feel free to implement it. Now in the bottom, there's a box that gives you access to every single flow I've created. Welcome series, abandoned cart, post-purchase thank you flow, all of them using that zero-party data, Google review flow, and I also have an explanation of every single software that I use for email marketing. This board is like $7. It's nothing. It's so worth the investment, and if you don't feel like you've gotten your money's worth, I'll refund you. No questions asked. But this board here is going to give you the outlines and the journeys for everything you need to do with your e-commerce business when it comes to email marketing. Guys, hope you found that video useful. Any questions, let me know.